Well, let's proceed with the presentation with introducing to you a little bit of who we are as a corporation, not who I am as a person, and also why we're doing these projects. So we are part of the Basis Conversion and Development Group. We are a subsidiary of the Basis Conversion and Development Authority, and our role is to really convert or transform former U.S. military baselands into economic growth centers. So if you see BCDA in a lot of the national projects, there's a big reason because they have the ability. It has the biggest real estate, prime real estate asset, about close to 100,000 hectares, which is not owned by many different people, but by just the government. So imagine what we could do with, just one owner. So here we are. We are at the middle of everything. We're one of the bases of the military by the U.S. So we're here in Clark. I'd like to show you a little bit more about what Clark is, because even for those people who are here, who are from this place, they get confused about the different entities in Clark, about the different developments in Clark. So for example, Freddie, I know, Freddie, who is the owner of this place, the Clark Global City, and of course Evan, who owns this building. Sometimes they get confused about who to approach and what are these developments are and why is this being done by the BCDA, by the Clark Development Corporation, and the Clark International Airport Corporation. So the Clark, Freeport, and Special Economic Zone, where we are, is about 32,000 hectares. And you see that the orange line, there's a blue color, then the orange color with the green color, just to separate each one of those properties. Orange is the new Clark City, which is being developed, operated, and managed by the Basis Conversion and Development Authority. That is the mother company of both CDC and CIAC. Now, the green area is where you'd see all these hotels, golf courses, the casinos. It's managed by Clark Development Corporation. Clark Development Corporation, by the way, is also like the local government unit of the place. They issue permits, your building permits. They issue the, grant you the tax incentives, being the local government unit. They are also the estate manager of the place. Now, whereas CIAC or CIAC, which is at the blue, which is colored blue, is the Clark Civil Aviation Complex. That is 2,367 hectares out of the entire Clark, Freeport, and Special Economic Zone. Now, let's go down deeper to what this property is. The Clark Civil Aviation Complex is 2,367 hectares, and right now divided into three. So we'll start with number 3. This is where we are. This place, where this building is, the Clark Global City, with Sir Freddie Placino, the one that's the president of this place. It's not me, so I'm just a visitor here. Now, this it's 177 hectares. And I know that there was probably a presentation of what this is and what it is envisioned to be. So I'm not going to go with that. On number 2 is the airport. It's 759 hectares. And the operations and management of that airport is by Lipad, which is a private company. It's a consortium of companies. It's via a concession agreement. So what does CIAC do? What do we do? Okay, so we perform an oversight function over the airport. So if you're asking for discounts on airlines, it's not us. It's Lipad, okay? It's Lipad. So we still have about 1,441 hectares. And bulk of that is the expansion of the airport. Because right now, the airport, the capacity of the airport is only 10% of the entire master plan. It has a terminal building which is at 8 million passengers per annum. That beautiful infrastructure that you see in front of us, if you look at the airport, that's 8 million passengers per annum. The master plan is 80 million passengers per annum. So at 759 hectares now, we need additional runways. We will need more terminal buildings. We will need more industries on the aviation industry. So consider that as just half of what it is supposed to be. So if you double that, that's about just 1,500 to 1,600 hectares for the airport. So imagine the existing airports in the Philippines. So now let me go to in relation to what the other airports are. You know that there's the privatization that was successfully done by the government. You have a private sector that won the bid. So now, CIAC and the Manila International Airport Authority, which used to manage the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, is now very similar. It's now similar. CIAC and MIA, Manila International Airport, MIAA, Manila International Airport Authority. And then there's a new one, the new Manila International Airport, which is probably like 30 to 40 kilometers away. So you might be wondering what will happen with Clark. Is it good for us? Is it good for the country or what? So I've said this in another forum about 3 days ago, and I see some people from people who've heard this presentation. You know, for the country, these types of developments is really good because we are not just competing with our own. Imagine competing with the likes of Korea, Singapore, or probably now Indonesia or Vietnam and the others. So we need the whole scale, a big scale, to be competitive. So it is a competition within us here in the Philippines. But as a country, to be competitive, we need all these infrastructure projects. 100 million passengers per annum for the new Manila International Airport. At full scale of its rehabilitation, the Manila International Airport would be about 65 million passengers per annum, and we'll have 80. So imagine we're built for the future, and we can have that capacity to grow. There's no way but up. It's sky's the limit for us now. So we only have to work harder now. So with all of those things, we never knew that when we master planned the Clark International Airport, that there would be a privatization of the NAIA, there would be a new Manila International Airport. So we have to change face. We have to change our strategy. So what's our strategy? What do we have here? I heard that Evan, you said like, we are here at the industrial belt. We have Subic. We have all these special economic zones here. So what are we going to do? We have a very strategic place here. We're well connected with expressways. There's a new railway that's coming. You'll see it, the rail coming also, right? So what we're going to do, which is our battle cry, is to transform Clark as a premier global civil aviation hub of the Philippines. What does that mean in a layman's term? We will make Clark as the premier gateway for freight for cargos. Because we have the space, we have the connectivity, we have a lot of room to grow, unlike where we have as our first option now at Manila. So for me, ideally, if if I will position, this is my own suggestion, NAIA should be the premier gateway for people, for passengers, because it's the capital of the country. So, let's go down deeper to our flagship projects. These are very ambitious projects, I know, as you will hear them later on. First of these projects are those that are going to be public-private partnerships. The government has no money. The Clark International Airport also is a very small corporation with huge asset, which is simply the land. But we're going to leverage, I heard that, Sir, from you, we'll make this value become valued, right? So we will make these assets as valued by building these 7 flagship projects. And these 3 are, first, the National Food Hub, the Entertainment and Event Center, and the Urban Renewal and Heritage Conservation Program. So what is the first project? The first project is something that duals as a priority project, not just of the Clark International Airport, but also the country, which is because the President has also made this as his promise to deliver during his term as his top priority project, the National Food Hub, which will be for national food security and sustainability. So what do we intend to do with this facility? Or in fact, what do we intend to do with Clark by building this major, very important project? We want Clark to become a pillar of food sustainability. It becomes a center for logistics. Imagine that Clark is connected all the way to the north, to the east, to the west, to the south, with all these expressways and eventually the railways. And we have a very huge airport that can be used to fly high commodity products, high value products. Or if you need more containers, then you can just go a little bit westward to the Subic, a few kilometers away. We will use all the major production areas as source of all commodities that will be aggregated here at the Clark Airport, at the Clark Civil Aviation Complex. And imagine that Philippines has huge potential for agriculture. But the problem is that always the farmers are left behind. But if we can have something like this where they can become more competitive, they can earn more from becoming farmers, then we're looking at making Clark and the Philippines as a hub of the Asia Pacific for agriculture. Because we are not just strategically located. If you look at, again, within. If you look outside of the Philippines, we're also strategically located in the Asia Pacific. So what's happening right now? I know that you understand this. It's a very unstructured environment for the farmers, for the agriculture sector, where the middleman is always everywhere in any part of the transaction. So imagine that there's always someone that's brokering in every stage of the transaction, from production all the way to consumption. So what do we want to do? The idea of the food hub is that we will streamline the process, where the middleman will only be at one stage of the process. Imagine these savings that can become part of the pockets of the cooperatives, the farmers. Imagine the savings that can be our savings when we as consumers buy food at the groceries, at the supermarkets. Now we are become more competitive. And having this food hub as well, when we talk about food security or sustainability, the Philippines unfortunately has about, in terms of wastage of raw goods, guess what? It's more than 50%. But in developed countries, like where we visited Spain, they have the Mercabarna, a food hub as well. In Paris, they have the Rungis market. It's also huge. Then the Netherlands, they have this flower market. What we learned was there's wastage, spoilage is what? I averaged them, not even 1%. Because they are able to recycle, utilize everything. Nothing is wasted. Almost nothing. So imagine that kind of savings that can go into our plates. Think about importing? No. We eat enough. We can even export if we can save 50%. So that's what we intend to do. And this project is not just a simple idea. It's already coming into fruition. We have hard deadlines, we have hard timelines that we are imposing ourselves. So when you look at our timelines, this year, we will sign this month the transaction advisory for the public tender of this project. But first, this year, once we sign that contract this month, we will have the feasibility study done in 6 to 7 months. And the public tender will happen in the first quarter of 2025. And once that contract is awarded in the third quarter of 2025, we will build the phase 1. Because this facility is 62 hectares. 62 hectares which can be expanded. I told you we have 1,441 hectares of free land. And we can always revise, upgrade our master plan according to market demands. So you'll see that the phase 1 of this project, these buildings, these beautiful buildings, the trucks, the cargos that will come, which will use the airport and the seaport, it will be finished by the first quarter of 2028. These are all happening. We have funding from this is approved by NEDA with the PPP Center. We've got about $2 million to spend for feasibility studies, for public tendering, and project monitoring for 2 years to ensure that we are following the terms of reference. Okay, I gave much detail to this project because this is our priority project. This is a priority project of the Philippines. And guess what? This is also a priority project of the world. It's not just Philippines. Now let's go something more entertaining. We want to make Clark as a destination too. We will build attractions. We will also increase the standards of lifestyle here. You know, when you have this kind of CBD plans, it has to be supported by an ecosystem that will flourish. And first, what we need in this country, and also for Clark, because we are positioning ourselves to be the hub for MICECON, is to build the Philippines' biggest Clark International Convention Center. The last time that we built a convention center in the Philippines with so much fanfare was in 1976. That was close to 50 years ago. And we can build it here. Why can't we? We have a very strategic place. Imagine building a convention center right beside an airport, where it has a railway. And then after the convention center, of course, we have to take care of traffic. We will have a multimodal hub where all types of transportation will be structured and properly managed. The buses, your private vehicles, and all the other transport modalities. It'll be in one place. Imagine from the planes to the trains and to all the land transportation, every avenue is going to be in one place. And then because sports is so dear to me, I've become more athletic during the pandemic. You know, Alan here was a training partner. He's more athletic than me. And I was part of building the Southeast Asian Games world-class sports facilities. We're bringing here a world-class arena, indoor sports arena. Again, it's the same logic why we're building the convention center. With all those accessibilities and strategic location. We want to host Taylor Swift. That's the dream. Right? So after the Clark Arena, we also would like to build other infrastructures. We want to energize the place. Because if we are going to attract these major investments, these major infrastructure projects, we need to have an urban renewal in the place. We have to make sure that we are ready for these developments. Imagine you welcoming a huge party in your place, but you're not ready. Imagine a developer that wants to sell premium, but that place is not ready. And because we have so much land to manage, we must have a program for it. And first and foremost of that project is a promenade, a RiverPark. Don't you know that we have a long creek? It's the Dolores Creek that we can harness to become a RiverPark. It's 5 kilometers long from Swiss Hotel or Midori or Marriott all the way to the SC Tex. It's huge, 50 meters wide. But there's no water. Where do we get water? We get water from lots of rains and storms that we have. We will harvest them. Yeah? But it's not just for beauty. It's not just for fun. It's about water, innovation, sustainability. Because the problem of Pampanga and Tarlac and other neighboring provinces, the major problem is water. Right now what we're using are the aquifers. They're not sustainable. So during rainy seasons, we can harvest water from the rains from this RiverPark. And then during summer months, where there's no water in these RiverParks, then we can use the aquifers. At least they can rest. So on top of that, we'll build parks and open spaces because that's very dear for us. We're not going to make an error that we did in the BCDA where when we did the Bonifacio Global City, there's supposed to be about 40 hectares of open spaces. Do you see that open space? So now we'll build those open spaces. We'll protect them, parks and open spaces. That's for the place, for the environment. And Clark is rich in heritage. This place is 120 years old. But when you want to reminisce the past, are there places where you could go and see and enjoy the past? To venture into history? There's a small museum here. But there can be living museums that we can build, redevelop. And I don't think that you know that there's a kamikaze airfield here. This is where they flew. This is where they trained. And don't you know that we have a huge network of underground system here? We have ammunition dams. We have many structures as old as 100 years that can be redeveloped to become commercial places, but also for parks, living museums. So that's what we intend to do. And a new addition to our project, in the 8 months that I've been with the aviation sector, I learned that for the first time in history, that demand is not the problem in the aviation industry. Demand for planes, demand for passengers, that's not the problem anymore. It's the supply. Because the workers that used to be with the aviation industry shifted to different jobs. So just in Canada alone, to sustain their growth, its current demand, to put them back into the normal operations, they need about 30,000 jobs. Highly skilled workers, engineers, maintenance workers. And Philippines can be that supplier. Imagine we're exporting food, and also we could, because of the highly skilled Filipinos can be everywhere. They're highly trainable, fluent in English, and very young age. We can be an exporter of this labor for the growth of the aviation industry, not just in Canada, and all other airports. I heard about remittance, and then there goes. It becomes more and more, becomes more important. This is the number one source of revenue for the country. And we can hold that place. And don't be shy about it. And so these projects are very important, but we need to prepare when these developments become into fruition. We have to have infrastructure projects, vertical and horizontal, that is meant for the future. This first is the CRK, Direct Access Link. The Direct Access Link is a new exit in between Clark South and Clark North. So imagine going to the airport, and you come from Manila, use NLEX, then go to the airport. You can see that beautiful structure in there. But once you want to go there, it's like going away. It's a maze. It's like going farther away. Use both exits. But what we intend to do is also for a sense of arrival. We want to make sure that when you go to the airport, you're going to a world-class airport. One of the most beautiful airports in the world. We got that award this last year. And so there should be a sense of arrival for that place. And because of the food hub, where we will have more trucks, cargoes coming in, we need to have a passage for the private vehicles that goes to the airport. Because of the convention center, because of the indoor sports arena, because of the airport mall, an outlet mall that we will build. We need a new exit. And then expand our existing road networks and utilities for IT needs, for water, for power. And most importantly is that it should be built for the people, not for vehicles. I am a biker. I'm a duathlete. I bike, I run. There should be biking lanes, safe and secure for pedestrians. And then we'll have a detailed development plan for the second runway, because we need to prepare for the expansion of the terminal building up to 80 million passengers per annum. So we need to have a plan for the second runway. And finally, we'll build our headquarters. Because right now, we're hidden where we are. It's not so welcoming. We need to have something like this, like what KMC is doing, what you are doing here, Evan. We need to have a beautiful headquarters as well, to become our beacon of transformation. So with all of these things that I mentioned, let's just visualize with an overview of all these plans. Visualize the future. This is our vision board. You will see that in all of our computers, in all of the corners of our office, so that everyone will see what we will do every day to make sure that these things happen. Where's my phone? I would like to end my very long presentation. Yeah, and I know that you're trying to fight. I know many of you are sleepy, but let me end with this. Let me read. Our major game-changing plans shall definitely and positively impact our country's business and investment sectors and make important contributions to the nation's development. I mentioned that these are game-changing projects, ambitious. I know you'll say ambitious, and you'll agree with me. But these are doable, viable, bankable. Is it, sir? Marketable, and definitely, after further studies, profitable. We're pursuing these projects because CIAC or CIAC is driven by the continued support from the government and various national government agencies, including private sector. This National Food Hub is already working. I am pitching an idea whose time has come. Its time has come. These projects are going to happen. The transformation of Clark as the premier global civil aviation logistics hub of the Philippines. Through the 7 flagship projects, we're sort of assembling a powerful engine of economic growth. And we're looking to forge partnerships with you, with the business sector. I know that this is an aggregation of CEOs. And I'm appealing to you to support these projects. For you to become part of the assembly line. In realizing these projects, which soon shall be a key driver for regional economic progress, for national development. And with that, I end my speech. Thank you.